it's not just another awareness day. And so what actually does it mean to me? I found the same as mental health and mental health awareness. People are very much want to not force, but show more the positive side all the time, you know?
We have pain, we have sickness, we have all of these different things, but that's the reality of making these things happen. It's not just the sunshine and roses. I think it's good to share that. So disability pride for me is just showing the realism of it.
Right, we'll start from the beginning. I'm going to say, hi guys, how are you doing?
Yeah, good.
Hi B, I'm very well, thank you. Very well
Nice.
Well, it's raining up here in the Lake District, but it's great to be back on Disabled and Proud, and especially on Disability Pride Month.
I know. These are the Disability Pride special episodes, and I thought I'd just get on a few of my close pals to have a couple of conversations about disability pride and what it means to them. And I'm really glad you're both here because I'm looking forward to delving into this topic with you both.
Oh, thank you.
It's
good to be back.
It is good to be back, and I always like getting challenged by you, B. You always make me think, which hurts, but it's usually good.
Sometimes it's good to hurt. Sometimes,
yeah.
It's a way of learning. I guess.
Exactly. I like that. It's a way of learning. Sometimes it's a bit uncomfortable.
Don't give him even more encouragement to be positive, B. He's bad enough being Mr. Positive as it is.
So, guys, my first question to you both is, what does disability pride mean to you? And whoever wants to dive in first, dive in first.
Okay. Yeah, I feel for me, disability pride has kind of changed over time, especially this month where it's like a full month of disability pride. I think for me, when I first learned about it, it was kind of a celebration of those with disabilities and what we can achieve, and nice to know what different people in the community are doing to kind of change the narrative. But over time, I think it's kind of more than that, but also seeing the reality of one's life and the different layers that comes with it, the realism of what goes into making things happen. And me and Nick always talk about this, like we shared reality, not for sympathy, but to kind of just say, actually, this is how we do life. We have pain, we have sickness, we have all of these different things, but that's the reality of making these things happen. It's not just the sunshine and roses. Oh yes, we're doing all of these great things and we're fine. But it takes a lot of energy out of us, and that's the reality. And I think it's good to share that. So disability pride for me is just showing the realism of it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's when you ask people one of the reasons why they follow me, or the comment that I get as a speaker is about it either being really raw but real, and really authentic. And as I started the journey out doing mental health stuff initially, and really came into the disability side around 2021 when I became more of a chair user. So I see, even though mental illness is a disability, I didn't actually see it as a disability until I became physically disabled. I don't know why. It's still kind of an area that I really want to understand for myself so I can help other people understand it. I don't know if it's because I didn't want that label. I don't know. But it's one that I'm interested in finding out. So 2022, that was really when I started getting into the disability side of stuff. And Isaac and I met, and I've learned so much off Isaac as initially a mentor and influencer that I really respected and learnt a lot from. And then we've become really good friends. So I'm kind of quite new. I still class myself as newly disabled, I guess, because there's I know a lot of people have been disabled since birth, are still learning all the time, and but I'm still trying to learn. I don't know, the basics almost. So getting into Disability Pride Month. I only heard about it last year, so trying to. Oh, okay, right. It's not just another awareness day. And so what actually does it mean to me? And I think what I've always gone through is, like Isaac said, is showing that reality. Because I found the same as mental health and mental health awareness, people are very much want to not force, but show more the positive side all the time, and I always struggled with that from my viewpoint as a suicide survivor and with PTSD and depression. And that wasn't what I was experiencing. And so I then really wanted to give an insight to what it's like for me on a day-to-day basis. And that's when I started getting the followers, because they were like, oh, someone's actually saying the truth. Thank God, And so I'm proud to be disabled. I'm proud of my conditions. I'm proud of who I am because it enables me to relate to other people. And I try to put that across in a raw, realistic side. And I think people are fed up of being force fed loads of positivity. There's time for that, but people really relate to everyday crap. Let's be honest. So being authentic in that and having a nice balance between the two. So that's one of the key things for me, Disability Pride Month, celebrating what you can do regardless of your abilities, is really important. So yeah, I was just about to go off on a tangent and realised I was going off on a tangent, so I'm going to stop going off a tangent and come back to you.
I love a tangent. If you want to go off on one, please do. I love listening to people's tales. I wouldn't be doing this if I
No,
didn't.
we'll be here for too long if you went on a tangent. So.
I love how Isaac completely vetoed that immediately. Like, no, we don't need to listen to it. Great.
Yeah,
let's keep moving.
People always, I get this all the time. It's ableist. Now, what's the one for being disabled, but ableist, disabled, whatever that terminology?
Internalized
That's
ableism.
He is my internal ableism. He's the voice. That's him.
He's the voice inside your head.
He whispers it in my mind all the time.
Isaac lives rent-free in your head.
And I love it.
People just see this. Oh, Isaac, doesn't he love? No, he's not. He's a bully.
To you.
It's not fair.
I love that. I also love that people always come up to me and always like, I love Isaac so much. He's so great. He's so truthful. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Isaac's all right.
Yeah, he's all right.
You haven't met him properly.
In small doses.
So, both of you have been on quite the journey when it comes to disability pride and acceptance isn't the right word, but moving forward in that area of really relating to disability and talking about disability, because you're both very, very truthful online and you both really share what I would call like the real side of disability. And it's not like I climbed a mountain on my bare hands with my toenails. That's all I had. It's very much like this. These are the challenges. This is what I'm facing. And this is how we move forward. And because of that, what has your journey been like to embracing disability pride? Like, how has that journey looked like for both of you? Good question.
Dear yep. God, it's towards the end of the week, don't you? My head.
I think that's just you all over.
Do you want to go first, Nick?
Isaac, do you want to go first again? That's only gives me time to.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's right. I think for me, so when I first came into like the content creation space, and leaving school, all I wanted to do was just be creative and make videos,
Yeah.
because I loved doing A-level media, and I just loved expressing my creativity. And through my journeys, and creating vlogs when I was on YouTube, I just loved filming the different things I would get up to, like skiing and skydiving and tall ship sailing. I would just kind of film the whole journey, but I'd never talk about disability in the videos, even though I was showcasing disability. And I just
Yeah.
thought, why do I have to do that for? Why do I have to talk about disability? Because I just like to be creative. But friends and family kept saying to me, you should really talk about disability. You can really change people's perspectives, and you could help others who may have similar disabilities to you. And I thought, why'd I have to do that for? It doesn't make any sense, so I honestly just kept on ignoring them as they kept telling me I should do it, until I was given an opportunity to do a public speaking engagement at an event up in Birmingham, to talk about the different obstacles that I face, and how I can still have a very fulfilling life. So I thought, yeah, I'll talk about that. So I spoke about how I have to do a lot of planning ahead, how I have to have someone with me if it's long days out, sometimes the pain that I get in, and and then I said, but even with that, I could still have a very fulfilling life when once things are in place. And I got to the end of the talk, and a woman came up to me, and she basically said, I get a lot of pain in my legs and I'm always complaining about life. But after hearing your story, it's kind of changed my perspective on things. And that was kind of like the first time, I guess you could say, is first time I realized the impact I could have been making to the wider world by talking about my disability. So I think that's when I started to have a
Yeah.
bit more of a sense of that my disabilities, my strength, and what I can bring to the world by talking about it. That paired alongside my mental health journey and coming to terms with that, and then getting to a point where I became more internally have internal peace and happiness within myself. Um, Also made me realize that disability has always been my biggest strength to get up in the mornings, because of how people have
Yeah.
helped see me grow up into this world. Because there'll be some days where I was like, I can't be bothered to go out, but because of the many obstacles I've faced and support from friends and family, I would always get up and do it. But internally, I just wasn't feeling it. So once I came through that mental health journey, and then joining LinkedIn and being able to connect with the community and learn from other people and feel like I had a voice, always come in the journey of having that disability pride and feeling okay to share my journey with the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I love reading your posts. I always learn something new.
Feeling like I could talk about disability, that came a little bit easier, I would say. Though initially, I really struggled with imposter syndrome. And Isaac knows this. He helped
Yeah.
me a lot with this. I in the early times, imposter syndrome came a lot when I was spending time with Isaac, and he's more, not that we compare, but the fact is Isaac's more physically disabled than I am, and I struggle with that, thinking, what right have I got to complain about whatever I'm going through when there's somebody who's got more physical disabilities than me and have got more obstacles and challenges than me. I haven't got any right to feel this way. So that was initially the biggest obstacle, that I internally had to get over, and to process, and that
Yeah.
I think I'm still working on that. I certainly haven't got to that stage where it's not there anymore. Um, I'm more comfortable with speaking about disability, and I think the journey, both personally and professionally, over the past 2 years, has been around acceptance for myself. Um, listening to my followers and to mentors like Isaac and Kat Paler and Chris Foster and Sandy Roberts and just all these other kind of amazing people, and learning about other people's journeys. So it became a time where instead of me focusing just on telling my story, I had to turn the tables and actually listen to other people, which usually I'm really bad at. So accepting my spinal injury, accepting the chronic pain, and actually starting to use them in a positive way instead of being angry at the world and angry at my injuries. It's okay, so I've got this. This is what's going on. And I just started opening up on social media a bit more about them. And then you start hearing from other people, just like Isaac did with that person. And then I found out, started going down to the accessibility side of stuff and started to do the videos. And then I've just found that I was asking these questions openly. My followers know I've always been maybe too open, maybe at times. Sometimes people can kind of criticize me for, but I then find people going, "Oh, thank God, someone else is feeling that way," or and then suddenly you go, "Oh, right, so this imposter syndrome, I thought that was just because I'm newly disabled." And yet you're hearing so many other people who've maybe been on the journey for many years or from birth. And so that has really helped me personally, but then also professionally, and to understand the importance of. I'll be honest. Initially, it was I'm going to speak because I need to earn money. It wasn't overly as an advocate, if I'm being totally honest. It was I need to earn money. How the hell do I earn money? Well, I know that I can get paid to speak in, and I know that adding disability speaker onto it gives me more opportunities to get booked, to be totally perfectly honest, because I didn't know how else I was going to earn. Now I'm in a chair. How does all that work? How do I earn money? How do I get off benefits? How do I get financial independence? How do I find self-worth and self-value and actually do what I want to do, which is help and support other people whilst being financially independent? How the hell does all that supposed to work? And I struggle with that a lot. But when I started doing the accessibility videos, and then they just started taking off, and it was like it just made sense. I love doing them. I'm very creative, like Isaac, with the videos that we do and the bits and pieces that we do. And I would just say the way that it's helped me personally is to accept myself more, and to identify how I can best help other people is to help myself, which is quite. I'm a massive empath, so I always want to help other people, right? And so, a bit of a fixer, I guess. And there's good sides and bad sides to that. But the thought that I can best help other people by helping myself was just kind of a little bit weird, you know?
Almost like kind of the antithesis of what you want to be doing. And it's almost like, oh, that seems really selfish. But actually, it's the most selfless thing you can do because you can't really pour from an empty cup.
Absolutely. And, it was the whole balancing idea of doing that whilst also needing to earn money, whilst also trying to accept, whilst also, there was so much there. But I have grown and developed so much over the past 2 years. I've grown more and developed more through my disability, physical disabilities and that side of stuff than I have doing a decade of mental health work. Well, I don't know why. It was just, I don't know. But I think,
I,
go on, bud.
yeah, no, I was gonna say I also relate to that because I feel me being on LinkedIn, especially, I don't feel I knew anything about disability. I had a few friends in school and a few others with disabilities, but I never really had an opportunity to listen and learn to a vast amount of people. Um, so it's been nice to be in that space to learn from others and hearing their lived experiences, which has then helped me grow myself and me becoming a better ally for my own community.
Yeah, and like,
And I love that.
yeah, the yeah, no,
You
no,
go, Luke.
I was gonna build on from that is and going back to my tangent of what the hell was I going to go on about before with the first question, it was actually to say about informing people. And so yes, I can go on about me going up a mountain, but a lot of people can't relate to that. So whilst that's great, but a lot of people can't see themselves being able to do that. So the biggest win I had was when I beat the housing developers recently and actually managed to get them to take the steps out and put a slope in. You know, that has a bigger impact to people's daily lives than me going up a flipping mountain. But the real proud element of if you think of throughout this month of what we can do is we can inform society, and the more that society is informed and each other, all of us, regardless of abilities,
Yeah.
etc., we can learn more about ourselves, we can learn more about others. And that, I think, is what I found really powerful with all of this, is that through the talks or the accessibility videos, um, I can learn from others, but I can help to inform society as well. And
Mm,
that, I think, for being, Disability Pride Month, to really inform people on a whole range of conditions and from different demographics, etc. That has got to be the key win, I think.
mm,
Yeah. I also really find it interesting about what you've both said is that at some point you started speaking about, both of you started speaking about disability, but at no point previously had anybody kind of told you about disability. And it's very much something that you have to figure out for yourself. And being able to have that exploration of self, which can sometimes be quite uncomfortable, but being able to be like, okay, so it's not just me as a disabled person who feels X, Y, and Z, but that's a societal thing. And then kind of learning about your own disability and then disability in general, because we all know that they're two very different things, right? Like being a disabled person and then learning about your own disability and how you navigate the world is separate. They're two separate things. But I find it interesting that both of you were like, you know what, it was just about sharing thought, and it wasn't necessarily about sharing information about your own disability. It was just about sharing the thoughts of your day to day. And that, I think, is really imperative, because in that there's something to do with almost needing that collective thought process and being like, maybe I'm not alone in my thoughts, particularly surrounding disability.
it's stories. I think stories is the way that I've learned, and I love sharing stories. However real or not that I choose to do, it's just sharing stories. And I'm so used to it now. Sometimes I forget the reach that I have, and the people who do come back to me and say, "Oh, actually, I've learned something from you," and I forget. Oh, to me, I'm just writing a story, but to others, it means a lot. And
Yeah.
as you've both said, like we've learned from all of these different peoples and thoughts and stories. Um, so I think stories are very powerful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is I saw it a lot in mental health. I saw it a lot with suicide, and they've become more acceptable over the past few
Mm,
years, more valued as well. And I think people have been saying it, sharing their story in the right way. And I think that is a
yeah.
big change from a few years prior, where you maybe people are forcing it, or they're not being balanced, or they're forcing their view is the only view. And whereas nowadays it's not about an agenda, it is literally sharing what you go through, and then realizing that you don't get to the point where you got billions of people on this planet and you are the only person feeling this way. That's just not, it's not the case. And to then have one of your followers or a new follower or someone just go, thank you so much for sharing that, because that's really helped me. And again, that if we can achieve that throughout this month, if some people can feel less alone, if some people can feel like it's not just me feeling that way, then and people can learn a bit more and be a bit more accepting and can see the amount of value that people can have regardless of abilities. That's to be celebrated, right?
100%.
Yeah. I'd love to ask you both, has there been a particular moment where you've really accepted your own disability pride, and then because of that acceptance you've seen it have a positive effect elsewhere, whether that be like relationships or I don't know, in like any appointments or somewhere where it's kind of been tangible, you've seen that effect happen?
Accessibility videos, 100%. I don't know, I've kind of been trying to create all kinds of different videos in the past couple of years when I've trying to find out my identity personally, but then also professionally and all this kind of stuff. But since I've been creating the accessibility videos, not with an aim to sell them, but just to go, I'm really frustrated with this. Or again, the SEPs recently, I have never, all the stuff I've done, I was actually not just pleased with myself, I was proud of myself.
Yeah.
And it evoked a stronger emotion in me than going up a mountain. And that's a big thing to say, right? And it was when I was taking a video of the step, of the slope, because they're just taking them down. And a young lady came along pushing a pram, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're the disabled adventurer, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm so happy you got them to move those steps, because I have a dog, I've got this baby, I've got a young boy as well, and it was a nightmare trying to navigate these steps." And I was like, I just felt like crying, because it was that, to make the world more accessible for everyone, everywhere, regardless of abilities. I just felt like, I've not just achieved this, but this the ultimate goal, right? To be able to do that, and that is going to be just so proud of myself. It was just, it was amazing.
Can I make an observation about that? Because I've seen your journey, Nick, and I remember when you first making
Are you going to be
videos,
kind, or are you just going to build up to an absolute?
Okay, well,
Let the man speak.
okay, well, forget it then. I'll just talk about myself again. I'll just talk about myself then. I won't be nice. No, I was just gonna say, when you first were making the videos, I know there was this feeling of, I guess you could say, a bit lost in wondering where these are gonna really go. But from then to now, and even just in your voice in the videos, you definitely have a lot more passion. You sound a lot more excited when something does happen, to get so many views and call out the prime minister, all of these different things, are really making movements, and people are seeing it. I do have to say, when I came with you to Toaster to see the rock climber, I was a little jealous when everyone came up to you and said, "Oh, you're a disabled adventurer." I was like, "Oh gosh, when is this going to end?" But but no, it shows you're making impact, and it's been really great to see that. And I would say, as a friend, that I'm proud of you for doing that step and still making a difference to a lot of people's lives. So,
Well, I've
you know,
only
it's
come
really
to
good
this
to see that
point and
journey.
able to do it because you've been my guide in all of it, and you've been my bestest friend, and you've guided me, you've mentored me, you've supported me, and so yeah, it's definitely we've done this, mate, and we've got so much more to do,
Yes,
havoc to cause, and changes to make. You know.
absolutely. Because you know, from newer videos, we're working on a collaborative video, which is quite exciting as well, and be paid for it. You know, that's one thing we've been saying. We're actually going to give you paid for it. So it's yeah, it's been nice doing a journey with like-minded individuals like Nick. You know, it makes it worth going through that journey.
Yeah, for sure. And what about you, Isaac? Is there like a particular moment where you've really like accepted your disability pride and you've seen a tangible difference in that moment?
I think I can't think of one particular moment, but I think just the whole journey of my LinkedIn and being able to connect with so many other people within the disability community, and them becoming more friends than my actual friends before LinkedIn, because I've been able to actually like really sit down with these individuals, do such big collaboration. Like Kat is a mutual friend to us, and you know, Kat's made me outfits for London Fashion Week, and we've been able to also do videos together, and so many others. Me and you, Brooke, you know, we have a good laugh and good conversation with the things that we do. So it's
We always have
a lot
fun.
of fun. But it's yeah, it's just being able to connect with so many like-minded individuals has allowed me to be more open with my disability and have that pride to be like, yeah, I'm doing this with the community. Um, like any
Yeah.
community, there are ups and downs, like everything. But for the most part, I'm glad to be part of this community where we are making a change in our own way, and being able to see what people are doing to make a difference and being able to be part of that is really great. And to even be invited to be part of things that I just never were never on the bucket list. It's just like, wow, okay, um, let's see what's next. You know, I just never know what's going to be around the corner with what this community can
Yeah.
bring and what changes they're making.
Yeah, I mean that's I've said that quite a lot recently. You know, of I say a lot that you gotta keep going, you gotta keep keeping on because you don't know what's around the corner. And I look back, it's 1 year today that I overtook a Red Bull F1 car in a power chair. Now that wasn't on my bucket list. You know, you wouldn't even make that up, but it happened. You know, to hopefully, fingers crossed, to be going again up Snowdon at some point this
Yeah.
month. Fingers crossed. You know, that wasn't on a bucket list at all. You know, and if I hadn't kept going during those really dark times, I never would have experienced the things that I had and got the opportunities that I have. But one time I would say that I've noticed a big difference for you, Isaac, is when you focused a bit more on your mental health, when you started sharing some of your more personal kind of feelings about stuff, and certain situations where you just kind of opened up massively and you were honest and you started down that mental health journey. There was I noticed a quite a big growth in you, and it was almost like a weight had been lifted a little bit from you. That'd be fair to say, do you think?
Yeah, because I couldn't think of an answer. I'll take that one.
That'll do.
Yeah.
What I love is that Isaac comes across as like one of the most like mature. His thought, like his answers are always really thought out. Like most like brainy person and you actually meet Isaac and he'll be like, no, that's a great idea. I should not. Like,
So you're saying that he isn't
Yep.
clever, he isn't brainy, he's not.
Wow.
I would say that to Isaac's
No,
face.
no,
No,
you
I'm
would. You
joking.
would. Yeah. Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, you would.
Might as well be truthful about who you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You gotta own that shit, right?
Exactly. But actually, that's something really important when it comes to disability, that we actually can find it really difficult. And it's not necessarily an us thing. And I don't mean us as in like collective. I mean like us personally, because it can be hard to accept something that is so different from the norm. And when I'm talking about the norm, I'm talking like non-disabled people, average Joe blogs, 2 arms, 2 legs, doesn't have an issue running, right? If you are not that, and you are born or acquire your disability, and that is all you have seen for your entire life is average Jolly Joe blogs, it can be so difficult to find this idea of disability pride and acceptance, and the fact that you sometimes just have to own who you are can be really uncomfortable for a lot of people. But actually, both of you do that very well because you're both incredibly truthful online. Like, you both share your mental health journeys, you both share the realities of being wheelchair users. And that is something to be really applauded, because neither of you are actually like average Joe blogs. Like, and I know you both personally, like your personalities aren't like that either. But there's something really wonderful about being able to turn up exactly who you are and exactly how you feel on the day without not thinking about the repercussions, because that's not what I mean, but being okay with that's who you are in that exact moment in time.
Yeah, I think through,
Yeah.
I decided a while ago to be totally open and upfront on social media, and even more so when, honestly, the messages that I get from followers is honoured and humbled isn't enough when they share their most deepest personal feelings, thoughts, situations, etc. They're just incredible. Anyway, the kind of when I started doing that, I made myself a promise that I wasn't going to be someone who wore a mask for others. If I wanted to wear a mask, it was going to be for me, and it wasn't not through a lack of being lazy. I can't be asked today. I'm going to put this mask on, not to use it as an excuse, but mainly that if I wanted to do it, it was for me, and I'm not going to do it for other people. And
Yeah.
making that decision is difficult. It it can lead to certain situations. It can lead to some people being upset at that decision for whatever reason. But I have no control over other people's behaviors, actions, thoughts, or emotions. That's totally down to them. But I'm just wasn't prepared to fake it for others, and
Yeah.
so I do I own it, and I will, like with Isaac, and I go, I'm not feeling it today, mate, I'm really not there, and he just goes, fine, there's no judgments, no nothing like that. And you do have to own it. There's times where, for me, the biggest thing for me is chronic pain, and fibro, and having chronic pain, living with it 24/7 is draining, it's exhausting. And even when things are going well with rock climber and all the kind of bits and pieces that we've done, there's still times when all that could be really happy, but then it rubs against my spinal nerve. I'm in absolute agony. I drop to the floor, throw up because of the amount of pain, and then just question why. Why am I doing this? What is the point? Regardless of the win that I've just had or anything like that.
Yeah.
And if you've to hide that and to pretend that that's not a thing, I think
Exhausting.
it's
Yeah.
more exhausting hiding it for sure, and you're only kidding yourself. And I think people notice a difference when you accept you for who you are, and the things that are going on. Then other people are going to be more accepting of it. Whereas if you keep changing all the time, people won't know how to take you or where you are from one day to the next. So you own it and you
Yeah.
communicate it.
Yeah. Isaac, have you got anything to add?
Yeah, yeah, because I think if we were to, because for me, I guess when I wasn't very open to sharing my life, I was going in a bit of a vicious cycle of, I guess you could say, lies or not full truths, that I wasn't really being honest with myself, meaning I wasn't honest with my
Yeah.
audience. And as I say, soon with all the lies, will you be able to still keep up with all of it, and be that same
Yeah.
person? So, once I was comfortable in sharing the truth from my day-to-day life, it's a lot easier to just say it how it is, because this is it. This is it. I don't have to kind of make up lies on, oh yeah, I'm feeling all right when actually I'm not. So I can kind of just be truthful. And I would say one big step for me, I would say more this year is, I really don't like to postpone people for meetings, and I would really push myself to attend a meeting if it's in the calendar. But actually, there's been days this year that I've just really not been up for it, that I just say to the person, actually, I'm not feeling great for this meeting. Can we postpone it? And as of now, everyone's been like, okay, yeah, thanks for telling me, when should we reschedule it for? So I think it's being that
Yeah.
honest, was putting barriers up for me, thinking, oh gosh, people are gonna be like, oh, they don't want to work with me anymore. But actually being honest is good, because most people can have that understanding. I think if I was to lie, they may see through that and then won't want to work with me. But to be honest, people are usually like, okay, yep, thanks for letting me know. Let's reschedule to next week or next month or whatever. And I do appreciate when people say it to me as well, because, I know that everyone goes through something. So it's kind of having that understanding, and truthfulness to it that helps, make things a lot better and easier to understand.
Yeah. I love what you've both said about just being very truthful about who you are and where you are. I think there's a lot to be said in that, and a lot of goodness to be learnt from that. But as both of you have followings, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to someone who is newly embracing disability pride? What would be your best bits of advice, if you have any? Also, side note, if you're watching this on YouTube, look at the thinking faces on these two guys, because both of them are having serious pondering moments.
No, I've just got something in my eye. I'm going to keep it simple for a change. Be you. Be you. Find out who you are, what you are. Find out, work out, who the new you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to make adaptations. So accept the fact that you need to adapt. Figure out who you are, who you want to be. What person do you want to be, and what person do you want people to see you be, and focus on being you.
Yeah.
Nick took the good answer.
Obviously,
There is no right and there is no wrong.
Well, there is like better and
I
not,
was
but
going to
yeah,
say that
okay.
there's no right or wrong, but there is better and worse.
Yeah.
I mean, there is better and worse. Like, here we are.
Gosh, it got made me think now. No, I'm joking. I think for me, it's, it's kind of like, what would you say to your 5-year-old self or your younger self? And I think for me, it would
Yeah.
be, you're on a journey rather than trying to get to an end destination. It's gonna keep on changing as life goes on, and stop striving for that end goal. Just kind of go with the flow, see what life brings, and I am gonna still be a bit of Nick, but also be you. I think that's a very important
Yeah.
message, to always be yourself, because who else is gonna do it for you?
Exactly that. Exactly that. Be you.
Yep.
Which doesn't sound quite right coming from me, considering everybody calls me B. And it's kind of
Be you,
confusing.
be.
Be you, be.
Yeah, exactly. B-U-B. Sick.
Hashtag be you, be.
Be you, be.
That sounds like bring your own. Like, B-U-B, but also bring your own.
Well, I think we even when you don't have a disability, we're too many of us are too people pleasers. Many, we have. I can't be like this because it's not etiquette, or it's not done, or I feel I can't be like this because
Yeah.
of X, Y, and Z. And I've tried doing that both with the mental illness, but also with the physical disability as well. And it ends up being much harder a life for me. I'm just creating problems, situations, all kinds of stuff. And that is in my control because I'm causing these things. So actually, instead of
Yeah.
making life harder for yourself, when you focus on you, people will either like it and be attracted to you, or they won't. And if they're not, guess what? There's millions of other people out there who will absolutely be attracted to your work ethic, to who you are, to your mindset, your thoughts, your ideas, etc. And people won't know whether they like that or not if you're not being your true self.
It reminds me of a
Yeah.
video I watched in the days of, when I was kind of chasing views and followers. I came across this music producer, and someone had asked him a question saying, how do I get more views, or, I don't feel any worth when I don't have much engagement. But he kind of reframed it and basically said, you know, if you don't get a million views, but one person sees it, it means the million people have missed out on your content. So they're the ones missing out, not yourself.
Yeah.
So you've got to kind of be grateful that, that one person seeing your stuff and everyone else is missing out. Like, we're not the ones missing out. And I think once that was reframed into me, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Having that impact on
Yeah.
the 10 people rather than the million, I think is more meaningful when people really engage. And as
Yeah.
me and Nick get the messages from people as well, it does mean a lot more. And I think if we're able to help someone just get through the day, I think that's really impactful and much more powerful than just having a million followers to just like a picture and go on to the next one. I think it's better to have that real, true engagement.
Yeah. That like almost core connection with people, because you know that what you're doing is making a difference and it's not just superficial. This isn't about lip gloss and hairspray. This is about actually changing the way that you look at the world and how you see yourself. And that particularly during Disability Pride Month, is actually something that's really incredibly beautiful.
Yeah, being your authentic self. People can tell when you are not being you, when you're trying overly
100%.
hard. I mean, it's great making all these amazing videos and all the stuff, but actually, some of the biggest, the greatest, not impressions or views, but the most rewarding comments back has been when I don't know, literally went on TikTok to do a live just to go, I'm really, I'm struggling with this tonight, or, something like that. And that's, you then get someone going, that meant so much more than some of these other videos recently, was you just being open and honest and not overly planning it. It's not. yeah.
selling
Do you
like
know
a
what I
false
mean?
ideal.
And sometimes those kind of things of not being trying to be overly polished and all this kind of stuff and just being me means more.
Yeah. What are your hopes for future Disability Pride months? What's something that you would like to see happen in the future?
Oh, I have my answer for this.
Go on.
I love it. You take the mic. You go.
I would love to see. So last week I took part in Pride London. After not being involved in that for about 5 years or so. And it was really nice to be there, even though it's such an overwhelming and chaotic experience. It's nice to see people expressing themselves and being who they are, something we've been saying for the past 10, 15 minutes. But I would love
Yeah.
to see a disability pride march around the world. People being out and going
Yes.
through the streets of London or wherever, kind of just being themselves and showing the world, yeah, we're here.
Yeah. Isaac, start the motion and I will join you.
Okay.
I'll push the chair.
It's a lot of work, but I'll try. Something like that is a lot of work, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would be
I think
amazing.
that would be great. It would, isn't it? I still don't feel like it's that big yet. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what stuff's been done in the past, how long it's been going, all that kind of stuff. I'm still kind of getting into all of that. But I would like to see it grow more. I was going to say to go into to become an actual movement and a whole kind of celebration, and for it to be done not just people with disabilities or charities that are disability charities, right? To see
Yes.
other businesses, organizations, whatever, to just get involved because it's the right thing to do, and to
Yeah.
become a real movement that way, opposed to it being pushed and pushed by disability advocates and all this kind of stuff, which is great. It needs to move on past a tick box exercise. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's got to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
show us that you actually embrace this now, you
Yeah.
know?
Because, going back to Pride, when I went, you have such huge organizations like Lego was there, Bloomberg, Sky News, HSBC, all of these different highfalutin businesses were all there supporting that. And that's what we need for Disability Pride Month. All these different corporations saying, okay, we're doing this, as Nick said, not as a tick box, but we actually do mean to make things accessible for all of our employees. We're going to put the
Yeah.
right reasonable adjustments in place. We're going to make sure that if someone with a disability wants to work with us, we're going to do our best to make sure that they have the best working conditions so that they can be the best that they can be. May that be in the office or doing it from home. We know now we can do hybrid. So I think giving people that choice is really good. So I definitely feel, yeah, once we pass the tick box and more than just allies support the movement, that's when we can see some real change. And also realizing that anyone at any given time can gain a disability. I think to change the narrative that it's just disabled and them, like them and us, I think it's all of us that can be affected by this at any given time. So kind of having that
Yeah.
understanding as well that Disability Pride Month and beyond is for all of us at any given time. So I think, yeah, we've got to kind of move it to that kind of narrative and understanding.
And let's face it, this is being recorded today on when people are doing the vote. So let's lay down right here, right now, in this
Yeah.
episode to the new government, when you make your senior disabilities minister, not a junior, not a part time, not a tick box, just put someone there. when you actually put a proper disability minister in place. We challenge you to next year, Disability Pride Month, to set something up specifically for the country to do it properly and to show us that you are committed to enabling and supporting people with disabilities, whatever they are, and that we are actually respected and seen as a valuable members of society and not just someone you need to do because politically and because of optics it's the
It
right
looks
thing
good.
to do. So I challenge the new Prime Minister and the new government to sort yourselves out and get that done for next year.
Otherwise, we'll run over your feet.
I'll bring Rock Climber down and I'll run into the door. I'll blow number 10 off. I'll put your chair, connect it up to my chair, and I'll drag your ass down the steps to number 10. And then I'll say goodbye as I spend the rest of my years in jail. But it'd be worth it.
Oh, 100%. I'm with you with that.
Yeah, you'll be right behind me, won't you?
I would.
I would.
Let me record the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're coming too.
Let's make it a documentary,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
Can you imagine? B, Nick, and Isaac take down number 10.
Absolutely.
Do you know
What's
what?
going to happen now?
Can you imagine what the picture, like the poster for the film would look like?
Well, the video I did challenging Rishi Sunak to spend 48 hours in a power chair, right? That's now done over 1 million views. So I think we need to do one and put this out of challenging the government to actually show, and I think, and I'm going to go off a tangent now, sod it. So you know that the government or the last government, obviously, are in contravention, in breach of the UN policy. Yes,
Human Rights
for the
Act.
Disability Act, and the statements that came out by the leader of the UN of how badly the government treat their people with disabilities, and that they're in breach of it, and that it hardly gets spoken about. It's hardly reported in the media. And the people that turned up earlier in the year when they had to go and report to the UN committee were very low-level junior individuals, and that just shows how much of a priority we aren't.
Yeah, very true.
Crazy.
Very true. But we pause this thought, keep it here, because I think we will have a chat once this is stopped recording and we can make another something to go on top of this with this.
Okay.
Sandwich it all together. My God, I love ideas.
I can see us all getting together in London, opposite Westminster, and a huge rally of protesters of disabled people of all colours, all disabilities, a whole range of different people. And yeah, just getting out there. It's got to be done. It's got to be done, surely.
I think we just got to do a riot, to be honest. Protest, flame, burn London. Let's do it.
I can put a 50 cal machine gun on top of Rock Climber.
Oh, yeah. Put a cannon on there.
Yeah, missiles on the side.
I feel like, actually, no, I don't feel like. I know that I'm good with a rifle. So
Oh, perfect.
we are.
Great.
Woohoo! This is like disabled Anarchy coming your way.
They've got a trailer for Rock Climber now, so we'll put a seat on the back of that, and you can have like double machine guns, and you can get yourself set up on that thing.
To bring this lovely episode to a close,
random episode.
Do you know what though? They're the best ones. They always are, because I think a lot of it is about truth. And sometimes, as we have already said multiple times during this interview, is that we don't always share the true side of disability. There can be a lot of fluff, and it's very much, it swings between that Paralympian who is treated like a god, and people think that they are extra special, extra human, and we really elevate them above everyone. Or the flip side is you are a benefit scrounger and you are a drain on the system. And there is no in between. And actually, you know, sometimes there is like an in between moment where you're like, actually, it's just shit because I'm not one and I'm not the other. I'm just somewhere in the in between and I'm just living my life. But people expect me to be this quote unquote good disabled person and be a Paralympian and to prove everybody wrong. Or they expect me to be a benefit scrounger. And actually, like, I'm neither. I'm not super sporty. I'm not on the state welfare system. I'm just a disabled person in the middle, and therefore am I redundant because I don't do either of those two things? And actually, we never share the reality of that, but having free-flowing conversations surrounding this topic, particularly on Disability Pride Month, where actually a lot of Disability Pride Month is about change, is really quite important.
You know, it reminds me of a post I saw from Shani about a month ago. You know, she's very successful in what she does, and she's a very big outspoken person for disability, but went to I can't remember the exact rally it was, but the people saw her disability, the older generation, and was like, do you work? You know, and it's like someone who's so successful and then being asked that question because of her disability, you know, there's just no gray area. It's like you see disability, oh no, they don't work. Or when you say I do work, it's like, oh wow, you know, and then they think it's like a voluntary.
Is it in
yeah,
charity?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, voluntary or something that's not worth or paid a lot. Or another post from Jem recently about people preying on people with disabilities. Again, certain seeing of people with disabilities being less than the average person. So I think it's just we got to kind of get to a bit more of a gray area and more understanding that it's both ends of the spectrum of you know, we're just human. That's it.
Shock horror, you can be disabled and successful.
No.
Who knew?
Wow. I didn't know that.
That is.
Do you know what? Every day's a school day, Isaac. I'm really glad you came to join this conversation today.
Thank you.
Mind blown.
You're so welcome. But my final question for you both, I've asked you both this before. You know what's coming. It is, are you disabled and proud? Oh my gosh, honestly, every time I ask you both a question, the thinking faces have really got me.
Oh, that's a difficult question.
Because you're both looking in opposite directions. So one of you's like this, and the other one's like, both of you having good old think.
We value and respect you so much, we have to ensure we give the right responses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great answer. Only answer that there was.
Oh, yeah, we've still got to answer, aren't we? Hell yes, disabled and proud. And I'm not inspirational because I work. I'm a person who works.
Yeah. And I would have to say, absolute the same. And I would say I'm disabled and proud because of the community that's around us all. And we're all doing this for one thing, and that's to have a more inclusive and understanding world.
Yeah. Guys, I really appreciate you both taking time out of your day to come on the podcast today. You both know how much I love you. I think you're both great. You do some incredible work, and it's also quite nice that you're my friends as well. So thank you so much for coming on.
You are very welcome.
No, thank you.
And it's always a joy. Thank you, B.